everybody. You are watching Kaushal BaatCheet. Welcome to the fifth episode of our first series, How Asking Questions Rightly Matters. Today, we have a very magnetic personality as our special guest for you, whose interest to go deeper and deeper with context, as well as helping students with clarity is really distinguishable. His way of self-reflecting various ideas is really inspirational. You know what? He has explored various fields of interest ranging from engineering, physics, then psychology, and so many things. Okay. So with this trio mix, he is currently building the community in DeepThought education. With this whole story, one thing is very clear now that he is very enthusiastic to pursue the art of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And questioning is one of the core values of his life. So, definitely, I hope this episode will bring us a lot of learnings directly from him. He is none of us an enthusiastic learner, Mr. Rohit Dutta, intern at DeepThought Education. So, let's welcome Mr. Rohit. So, welcome, Rohit. Welcome to the conversation. So,
Thank you.
this conversation basically we will discuss about how asking questions really matters for a student. Fine. So, before beginning to the discussion, let me focus on your childhood. Actually, how was that? Okay. How was your childhood with respect to inquisitiveness? So, basically, how is it?
Um, my childhood was, um, so when I was younger, my parents usually left me to myself. All right. So in my younger days, I was just going around and doing things by myself and getting into trouble quite a lot of times. All right. So, but in the process of getting into trouble, I was actually learning by myself what to do, what not to do.
Okay.
So it was not like, my parents just told me what to do and what not to do. I kind of figured it out by myself.
Okay.
So I think it was exploratory. Yeah, I think if there is one word that I would use, it was exploratory in my very younger years.
Okay. So basically the thing is what in our toddlerhood, fine. We ask various questions randomly. Okay. We ask about what is that, why is it that, fine. So many questions. And the research says that actually a child basically asks 3,300 to 400 questions on an average per day. Fine. So how was your day with the questions basically, if you can remember that?
I do not remember questioning adults a lot. I think it was just for me. It was I do not recall a lot about questioning adults. I think that was one thing where I was not encouraged a lot.
Okay.
So like I was just doing it by myself. Probably I was questioning myself: did I do something wrong? Like, why am I in trouble?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it was more like self reflection kind of a thing.
Okay.
That's the best I can recall right now.
Mhm. And also one thing actually we have observed, fine, whenever a child asks in the toddlerhood, in your early childhood, fine, but the number of asking questions gradually diminishes, fine, when they grow older and older, fine. So, do you have marked that kind of regression in your career, in your life, basically from your early childhood to growing? Is there anything that?
So what happened was uh, when I was going through school, when I was going through school, um, the interaction between the teacher and the student became a lot about, this is the procedure, you do this. It became less about, why are we doing this? How is this true? Why is this true? Why should I do this? And such questions were not quite encouraged as I grew older. and I felt that I was also a victim
Okay.
to a decaying curiosity.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I think yes, that's an experience for me.
Everyone has felt that kind of regression in their life. Fine. So basically, what do you think, Rohit? Actually, what may be the potential regions of this declination? But there are so many regions, I may say. Fine. But what are the regions actually you have experienced in your school life of to transition between the college life? So, what was that?
I think I think that it is this mindset that adults impose in learning behavior on you. They say that such and such is the only method, is the only way to live life. Uh, so it's like putting the child in a closed box, a box that they define,
Hmm.
and which seems to them. It may not be logical as well, but it just works for them, and so they try to confine us to that box. So I
Exactly.
think it's largely because of the society imposing their beliefs and thoughts onto children, which narrows down the curiosity. I think this
Okay.
is what I experienced.
Okay. Okay. So, actually, what's the issue is what one point that you have noticed here. Okay, actually, uh, means so many biased thoughts are imposing into the brains of the students, isn't it? Fine.
Yeah.
So, there are also means in if we can look for the classroom scenario, fine. In any classroom, actually, there are some kind of students who don't ask any kind of questions. There are some group of students, there are some kind of students who actually ask something, but that is the lower cognitive level of question. If I can see the Bloom's taxonomy, then this is the lower level of question. Fine. And which is we can say that that is a factual oriented questions. Fine. So how what is the reason actually students don't ask higher level of questioning? Yeah, teachers are not promoting higher level of questioning gradually. If we can see the past in education.
Hmm. I think if you're talking about the classroom environment, I think most of the teachers are pressurized to just complete the curriculum.
Hmm.
Uh, I have experienced teachers saying that we are lagging behind. We have to complete the curriculum.
Exactly.
Otherwise, things are going to go wrong, and we might not be prepared for the exam. So a lot of it was around exams. It was about completion. It was not about reflection.
Exactly. Nice, nice.
So I think that is one of the reasons why students don't get enough time to even frame questions. They could, they're like, okay, what is this? What is that? They would, settle with those. However, there are deeper questions like why, how. So these, it takes time, I guess. Discussion builds into such questions. I don't think there is enough time to go there, and
Okay,
that's yeah.
okay. So that's the nice point here. Actually, actually there is an idea of completion of the syllabus. This there is no idea of reflection from the syllabus. Okay, fine. So basically, before proceeding into the deeper into the discussions, so Rohit, basically let us know about your college career and what's about that. Okay, how you are deciding something to participate in your current prospection that you are doing. Fine. So what's the transition between them? Please tell us a little bit.
Um, like about my educational trajectory, I start like my college life started with me taking up electrical engineering. All right, and after a while, I just realized that okay, I think I'm falling out of interest. So I actually dropped out and I took up a bachelor's in physics and mathematics.
Okay.
I was realizing that as I was interested in physics, and as I was studying physics, I was realizing that, okay, how does this math work? Why is this equation even true? And so I was like, okay, fine. I wanted to know a lot about the philosophy. And so I made a transition between engineering, and the sciences, pure sciences. And um, yeah, And in between, I was nudged by some really great thought leaders. One of them is Tarun, when I was at DeepThought as an intern. And I think that that trajectory that I took since college, since the beginning days of college, my curiosity, I think that it has actually risen. And thanks to, like some really influential people.
Okay. Okay. So, means from the track of completion of syllabus, whatever that is, biomedical engineering. Yeah, I think biomedical, isn't it? Sorry,
Electrical engineering. Yeah.
electrical engineering. Yeah, physics, anything. That's the part of academics. So, from that part, actually, you're part of philosophical bent of mind, and some kind of a gradation towards the, what we can say, philosophy, yeah, thought process, a different kind of thought process actually you are currently have, isn't it? So that transition view is what means, what is that kind of transition, what is
Are you asking me
actually
how it led?
lead
Okay.
you to that path?
I think it was not just a few questions in my mind, but it was also an exposure to a few people. So I joined this physics academy, out of like my dad just pushed me into an academy, thinking that you just have to learn. So over there, the teacher of physics, he was practicing curiosity himself. He was asking us like, okay, why is this the way it is? How is this working?
Exactly.
And so I started experiencing that. Uh, okay, wait, he's asking me so many questions, and I'm actually getting better at understanding this concept. And quite subconsciously, it was infectious. So when I was self-studying, I was asking the same questions. And I think it's that event. I think it was a period of 7 months where I was exposed to this infectious curiosity of the teacher, and that has influenced me. Although it happened at a later stage, it happened, and ever
Okay.
since,
What was that period? Electrical engineering period. Yeah, physics.
that was the period between my 12th and electrical engineering.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there was a period where I went to an academy.
Hmm. That was the seed of this entire.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Rohit, basically, if we can see the classroom scenario, fine. There are some kind of students who don't ask anything. Okay, basically, if we can see the ground zero level, fine. So they have no idea about the importance of questioning. They have no motivation to ask the question. They simply don't know the vision. They simply don't know the purpose of questioning. Fine. How questioning will help them? If we can practice the habit of asking question, then what is the benefit they will get at the end of the day? Fine. So those kind of students, actually, what you will say about the importance, and what kind of scenario they need to
Hmm.
know about in their schoolhood. Fine. So basically, if I can say, just share 3 to 5 tips, okay, 3 to 5 recommendation, so that they can know the importance of question in their childhood.
Um, I think that before knowing the importance of questioning, I think that student has to be first made comfortable in the classroom. Many students are not comfortable in the classroom. They fear. They fear what if like they ask the wrong question. What if they say the wrong thing? They could be insulted. They could be put down.
Exactly.
So I think it needs to start maybe from the teacher's end, where the teacher actually makes the student feel safe and comfortable, so that the
Exactly.
students start to open up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? And there was a very famous astronomer, Carl Sagan, who said that when you walk into a classroom of primary, a primary classroom, you see room full of scientists. So humans are born curious.
Exactly.
Humans are born curious. And I think that if you can make the student feel safe in the classroom, he or she will eventually open up. And I think questions could follow.
Exactly. Means because the students, if a student can feel the chorus, students can feel the safety, secure environment, they start asking
Yes.
questions. Fine. Those
Yes.
students who are familiar with a particular teacher, the student actually follows to ask question. Students are students are interested to ask questions to that teacher particular. Okay. So
Yeah.
there is a need of socio-emotional development in any classroom. Fine.
Yes.
So if I can say means this is one region, particular one region means in the mind of a student, if I ask the question, if I will ask the question, then definitely is there anything that will means make me embarrassed? Okay, is there anything that
Hmm.
is being of George is a kind of thing actually which is depressing the thoughts of students. Okay,
Yeah.
so do you feel is there any kind of reason that if a student asks something, okay, the teacher depresses that question, the teacher suppresses that question, okay, means yes, see we will discuss later, yeah, this is not coming to your syllabus, this is out of your syllabus, like there are so much of things. So what do you think about that?
So yeah, I think there are definitely some experiences where the teacher says that, you know what, we'll do it later. This is not important for the exam. So it becomes, the classroom turns more into like, like a place where you're just preparing students for, just write and get good marks, and that's fine. Um, I think, how would I say this? The teacher himself or herself could come up with a different approach, in the sense that if you're asking a question, okay, how about sidestep from the syllabus a little and engage in a Socratic dialogue between the students,
Hmm, hmm,
so that the students can themselves answer the questions.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I think there could be these times when we break away from the notion of the syllabus and actually engage in Socratic dialogue, so that there's a lot of insight flow. And once the student who hesitates to question sees that everybody else is engaging and that it's okay to speak
Yeah,
up, to question,
yeah.
I think he or she with time would get comfortable to engage in a discussion.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. So that's the point actually. Means whenever a student says something, okay, whether that is right or wrong with respect to the perspective of the content, that's depends upon. But we don't need to tell that student, yes, this is the wrong way. Yeah, this is the right way. Fine. If a student tells something wrong, okay, so we shift the scope of from that student to another student that you tell now.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, the previous student, the prior student feels that yes, there is something that I could not tell. Yeah, I am unable to do that. Fine. There is some kind of what insecurity, feeling of insecurity
Hmm.
there. So I think there is a need of teacher awareness as well as the student awareness. Fine. So, how can we aware the students basically?
So I was thinking about this right or wrong thing, and let's say the student did say
We can
something
start
wrong.
from social emotional point of view. Okay, so
Hmm.
how can we make a safety environment first before pushing? Before anything, we need to provide a safety environment. So,
Right.
what are
Right.
the 3 to 4 point of view from your side? Actually, what can be the ideal scenario from developing the
Hmm.
socio emotionalness?
I think one of the ways is to not make the student feel like he's wrong. Maybe the teacher could say something like, even if the teacher says that, okay, thinks that something is wrong, like the teacher could say something like, okay, that's one view of looking at it. And then he or she would ask, what's your view? And then the other student would put their view. And then he or she would go back, okay, how would you relate to this view? Could you associate your view to that? How could you build on your view?
Exactly.
So instead of saying that, you are wrong, you should discard it, the teacher could ask, how could you build on it, given that you've taken so many insights from other people right now?
Hmm. So there should
So it
be
can
a
be more about
collaborative
building.
mindset. I think there should
Yes.
be a collaborative
Yeah.
mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything more?
Mm, Wait,
Collaboration is highly needed. Okay, that's the
yeah.
prior requirement. So apart from collaboration, okay, how can we develop the socio-emotional mindset of the students? There are so various ways. See, means so we need to develop the courage of the student, self-confidence
Hmm.
of the student. So many things are there. But with respect to questioning,
Hmm.
particularly, how can we develop that kind of scenario? What do you think about that?
I am thinking out loud, and I think it could be more of a student-centered activity. Student-centered activities where let's say the teacher, okay, in fact, I would say the moderator,
Hmm.
okay, would pose a scenario, any scenario that may be, okay, and he or she would ask them to engage in an activity that actually demonstrates the truth of the scenario.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when students try to come up with their own explanations, the other student would be like, "Hey, how is this working?" The teacher is not involved in this activity, so
Hmm.
it's only the student. So they are friends now. It's only
Exactly.
among the friends, and they feel a lot more comfortable to disagree, to question. So when you try to demonstrate the truth of a claim and you give it to the students, they would be like, one person would be like, okay, fine, this is what I think. And like, why do you think this way?
Exactly. That's the nice
How can you
thing
prove?
for the teachers, that teachers need to be a moderator. Okay.
Yeah,
They need to moderate the class. Okay. Means the
exactly.
student will ask the question, student will even answer the question. Okay. So many things will be happened by the students, for the students, of the students, I may say. Okay.
Yes.
So teachers should be a moderator. Fine. That's the really nice recommendation for the teachers. Okay. Please proceed.
I think this comes under when it comes. This is a concept called open inquiry, where the students frame their own questions, they develop their own learning path, their own experiments, and they come to their own conclusions.
Exactly.
And the teacher is basically moderating, probably guiding them, nudging them every now and then, so that they don't go off on tangents or something like that. But it's primarily the students who are creating knowledge.
Exactly. Hmm. Exactly. So basically, Rohit, means the thing is what teachers are. You may say earlier actually teachers are pressurized to complete this syllabus. Okay, and also we cannot ignore that thing. Fine, we have to complete this syllabus. Fine. So with keeping in mind in this perspective, okay. So how can we transit from this kind of victim mindset to open-ended mindset, and how can we means how can we transform this system to a system that we imagine कि actually discussion based classroom होना चाहिए, fine, and some
Hmm.
kind of thought provoking classroom होना चाहिए. So how can we transit from that, because there is a, of course there is a pressure of completing the syllabus with time. So
Hmm.
how can you see that, because it is really very tough to imagine. If we can say that the classroom should be like that, classroom should be like this, fine, but
Hmm.
actually it is very tough to implement from the ground zero. Okay. So how can we motivate the teachers? How can we motivate the teachers to do that? Because this is not impossible. It is hard to do, but
Hmm.
this is not impossible, as I have
Hmm.
considered. Right. So what do you think about it?
I I just got this idea. I just got nudged by this idea. Students spend about 8 hours in school every day, I guess, around on an average 7 to 8
Six, seven,
hours,
6, 7.
and 6 to 7 hours. And I think students are left with a lot of homework.
Hmm.
All right, and this homework is a lot about just mechanical solving or just
Repetition.
writing down, copying.
Repetition.
It's very repetitive. How? What if? How about this? The teacher leaves the students with questions that they can ponder even after going back home. Maybe they go to the playground, they meet and like, hey, did you think about this? What the teacher said? So it's the learning is not just happening in the class; it's also happening outside the class. And so while the syllabus is going on, I think the students are also using other times to make sense of what is going on in the class.
Wow.
So if the teacher can make the homework more thought provoking, okay, more reflective, more explorative, by once again, teachers should also practice curiosity. Like, okay, fine, we read this today. How do you prove it? You don't have to do it right now. Maybe go home, talk, discuss with your friends, take that as an activity.
Mm.
So I guess, yeah, I think you can balance syllabus with understanding by going beyond the classroom hours. I think learning should not only be in a classroom; it should be anytime.
Exactly, exactly. That's the perfect way to practice the art of means learning something. Fine. Means this is not it is not the classroom where you learn. Fine. It is the whole world
Right.
where you learn. Exactly. Fine. We need to tell the students like this. Okay. So Rohit, this is all right. We need to make this scenario. We need to implement the strategy. But there are students who don't have any kind of caring. Okay, any kind of caring actually. What is the need of this actually? If I can
Hmm.
just memorize the thing, just means deliver the things in the exam paper, that's over. Means in any academics they have one purpose: to complete the academics, to complete the
Hmm.
scenario. Fine, there is no other motivation. So how can we motivate that kind of students? If we can make up the system, we can do something better by the students, by the teachers. But how can we motivate the students at the end user? Okay.
I think that uh, it becomes very important that we speak to the students. I think we need to first take their consent of what they want to learn.
Hmm.
Are they really, do they really want to learn what is being taught in the classroom?
Exactly.
Or do they want to pursue something else? I
Hmm.
think the question to ask is, what do you want to learn? What are you interested in learning? There are some starting points. Everybody must be having something which is not just about mathematics or science or psychology, which is usually taught in the classroom.
Exactly.
Uh, I think first we need maybe a very ideal scenario, but I think first we need to take the consent of the student. Ki, what do you want to learn?
Hmm.
And this is not working out for you. How about you try out something else? How about you try something? Maybe you are interested in football.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I think the society puts a lot of pressure that so and so channel the the is the thing.
Fine.
It's going to help you build a career. It's going to help you earn a lot of money. But are we asking children the question like, are you content with what you're learning? Are you happy learning this? Are
Hmm.
you enjoying? So I think consent of the student has to be taken into consideration. And
That's
instead
the
of forcing them into things they
Mhm.
don't like, encourage them, nudge them towards the things that they actually like.
That's the nice KPI. Okay, for the students. Okay, am I happy doing this? Am I happy learning this? Fine. Okay. So that's the kind of things actually we need to consider as well for the students as well as for the teachers. Okay. So when teachers ask something, okay, means I have observed from ground zero actually. Fine. The student teachers actually ask question. But the thing is that teachers actually ask a level one question from Bloom's taxonomy, you can say. Okay, they ask the factual knowledge. Okay, they ask the
Hmm.
question to know that whether the student has learned that previous chapter or not. Okay, what
Okay.
what is Ohm's law? Okay, what is the formula for Ohm's law? Define Ohm's law. Fine. This kind of things actually teachers ask, teachers promote.
Hmm.
Okay. And it is also needed to know that ग्राउंड जीरो लेवल मीन्स जो लेवल वन की क्वेश्चन होता है तो लेवल वन की क्वेश्चन के भी इंपॉर्टेंस होता है फाइन दैट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट बट हाउ कैन वी मेक देम अपग्रेड लेवल टू की क्वेश्चन लेवल थ्री की क्वेश्चन
Hmm.
फाइन up to the thoughtful questions original questions okay so Rohit, all are fine okay we need to make up something okay for the teacher as well as students okay I would like to know about how questioning really helps you in your professional career. Okay, so I hope this experience actually motivate the students. Okay, to ask something, to do something. So, what kind of help actually you are getting from questioning in your means from your professional journey? If you can remind something.
Yes, I think one of the most important things that I am actually benefiting from questioning is uh, developing or showing empathy.
Okay.
And how is that happening? Empathy is about understanding the other person, imagining what it is like, how it feels like for the other person. So, and that comes with a lot of questioning. One of the principles of developing empathy is asking questions. If you ask questions, especially how questions, how is this impacting you? How are you feeling now? Okay. So once you ask questions, you uncover understanding.
Hmm.
So help you understand other people, and in turn, that helps you build close relationships.
Okay.
And close relationships are the start of collaboration.
Hmm. Hmm.
So empathy is one, and also making shifts in perspective. All right.
Okay.
How does somebody else think about the situation? How is it different from what I am thinking? Okay. How do I relate to it? Okay. So it helps you make shifts in perspectives.
Okay.
And the more number of shifts you make, the more, let's say, conflicting ideas that you hold in your mind, you become a quantum thinker. You don't take just one stand, you take several stands, like superposition.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
So once you take different stands, you look from different perspectives, and that helps innovation. That gives rise to innovation. And I think questioning above everything else, other than utility, I think I just enjoy it.
Nice.
It's fun.
Nice.
It's fun.
Rohit, can you please elaborate more about how cushioning develops empathy? So it will be helpful for our students to know that.
Yeah.
Please.
When it comes to empathy, there are two kinds of empathy that I can recall. One is emotional empathy, and the other is intellectual empathy. Emotional empathy is about feeling what the other person is feeling. So if somebody is tearing up, I also start expressing, symptoms, physical symptoms of, tearing up. So I'm feeling what the other person is feeling. Intellectual empathy is about understanding how a situation is impacting the other person. It's about you imagining what it is like to be the other person. You don't know exactly what it is, but you imagine, you understand. And one
Okay.
of the ways of gaining an understanding is asking, how is it like for you?
Mm,
What are you going through?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So these are the questions that help you realize that, okay, this so and so person is going through such and such case. And it helps you, tune your body language, your tone, so that you support the other person.
Great.
So I think it begins with understanding, and questioning is one of the principles of developing empathy.
Great, great. That's the point. Actually, the question that is leading here. Actually, will I be feel happy if I will do that with the portion? Fine, okay. Or that means is that make me happy? Okay, if I will do that with portion. So that is a kind of self realization. Means actually one point is that the questioning helps us to realize ourselves. Okay, fine, great, great. So that's the thing. Okay, we may consider in your professional journey. So how is it helping in your personal life? Means kind of stops. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. So personally, I think it's helping me reflect. I look back on my daily life
Hmm.
or my past. I
Okay.
try to gather as much data that I can. And I
Hmm.
ask myself, how can I be better? Where am I going wrong? What should I have not done? What should I have done?
Okay.
Um, and it also helps in, like, okay, what is my flow? what activities help me get into the flow, get into the zone.
Mm, mm,
So kind of questions, very reflective questions, okay, help me find my flow.
okay.
They find what are my cognitive hijacks. Cognitive hijacks are events which lead people to behave irrationally.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Questions like, why am I getting angry? What events? What is triggering me? So it helps me find out my cognitive hijacks, my flow. So personally, questions are, it helped me uncover where I'm stuck. And
Okay.
that's where change begins.
So that's the metacognitive side. Okay, you are triggering into your brain actually what excites me, yeah, what actually making me
Yeah.
hijacked by cognitively. Fine. What are the things actually you are trying to uncover your metacognitive level? Fine, personally. So
Mhm.
if we can see the social level,
Hmm.
day-to-day life, relations with family, yeah, social being, okay, yeah, relationship with colleagues, fine, in your DT family.
Mhm.
So many things are there. So how can you use the cushioning process in that kind of social stuffs? And is there anything that is helping you?
I think questioning is one of the ways I can become socially aware.
Hmm.
Why is this person behaving this way?
Hmm.
What is this? What is this person doing so that it is making me feel more motivated to learn?
Exactly.
So questions about people,
Hmm.
right? You
Hmm.
ask yourself these questions, and then you find out the how and why behind what they are doing.
Okay. Okay.
So I think these questions lead you to become more socially aware, and social awareness is the beginning of making bonds with
Hmm.
people.
Okay, it's
So
I
yeah.
have reflected from your current perspective. Okay, that if we ask something, if we observe something socially, fine. Suppose a person is doing something that we feel
Okay.
bad for ourselves. Okay,
Okay.
so if we can ask ourselves actually, what are the things actually I feel bad about that person? What was that thing?
Hmm.
Okay, suppose you collected that
Hmm.
this is A region, this is region B, this is region C. So we may learn from that we should not
Yes.
do that from ourselves,
Yes.
isn't it? Okay. Suppose we see that that person we are inspired by one person. Suppose I have inspired from Rohit. Okay. So if I can
Okay.
collect that, what are the things Rohit is doing so that I am inspired. Okay. This is region B, region C, region D, region E, everything. So if I can follow this kind of stocks, if I can repeat this kind of habit, so definitely it will reach into a level that is higher to me. Fine. So
I
nice.
think we I think we always ask ourselves, okay, how did this person get there? What did he or she do that they achieved? Like that level of understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think these are very important questions which people ask themselves,
Exactly.
and that actually encourages them to actually go find out ki, how did this happen? How did this transform their thinking?
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah.
Fine. So one thing is very sure from our conversation that actually asking question is a kind of habit. Okay. Those are inquisitiveness really. Fine. Those are really naturally inquisitive. Everyone is inquisitive. This is fine. No doubt is there. Fine. But actually you see there is some kind of procrastination at inquisitiveness. Okay. Various persons are who don't ask anything. Okay, they're just going with flow, they're just going with their own flow. Fine. Yes, they admit so many things. Okay, one thing is that
Hmm.
those are actually procrastinate at asking question. They're really admitting so many things, they're accepting nature. Fine, they're very accepting
Okay.
nature. Okay, so how can we remove that kind of acceptance level, and how can we actually inspire them to build an habit? Suppose your conversation means you are talking with Rohit. Okay, I am talking with Rohit. So I am actually so many questioning are actually arising in brain. Okay, what is this, what kind of this, why Rohit is approaching with smile. Okay, why means so many things are there actually. So
Hmm.
consciously, either consciously or subconsciously, so many things are happening. Fine. So overall, we can say that what is that kind of inspiration so that a person can remove the stigma of questioning, means the procrastination of questioning, and how can the person build the questioning habit? It's a very simple
That's
process.
interesting.
It's not the theory key. If we can implement this 3 point, then the person will be do
Hmm.
that. This is not like that. But at the simple
Yeah.
step, beginning steps.
I think I would like to draw a research in this. There's a researcher. His name is Dr. Builder. He said that disagreeability, the act of disagreeing, actually boosts creativity.
Nice, nice.
So, how about, I'm just thinking out loud, a person, I think everybody has their flow. Maybe we do not know about it.
Hmm.
What if we could tap into their flow? Okay. What
Hmm.
if we could tap into their flow and they start witnessing that, like maybe what they are suggesting, the way they're conversing in their domain is not matching with what they think is the thing for them.
Yeah.
So then they would, like kind of, they would either say, you know what, I disagree. This is not how I do it. Or, they could come a time when like, wait, why do you say this? This has been working for me so well until now.
Hmm.
Why are you saying this? So I think I'm assuming that everybody has their flow in one,
Exactly.
uh,
Hmm.
in something or the other.
Yeah.
So can we recognize their flow and try to not invade, not invade, but how would I say, become a part of their flow?
Hmm.
It's a very idealistic scenario, but I think that everybody has their flow and we could collaborate with them to make them disagree and ask questions.
Exactly.
It's something that
Nice.
I'm thinking out loud.
So whenever someone is the adult period, fine. So that is because beginning of science is a disagreement. Okay. If you disagree something, so there is possibility of something new. Fine. Okay. So if we look at children, school children, fine. Okay. they ऐसे ऐसे कंसिडर करो कि वो बच्चे को कुछ भी पता नहीं है कि एक्चुअली क्वेश्चनिंग कैसे होता है फाइन ओके दे हैव नो आइडिया अबाउट क्वेश्चनिंग they are not practicing questioning in classroom as well as in out of classroom. Okay, so
Okay.
how can we inspire them? Very simple process so that they start questioning. Okay, very simple process so that they can practice day by day. Fine. So what can be that?
That's interesting, and that actually makes me think harder. Um,
Because one thing that I have observed, Rohit, okay, students are actually going through tough times. Okay, when teachers say, "Is there any doubt? Is there any doubt?" They have really
right.
blank-minded. Okay, they don't have anything. One answer is left. No, sir. Thanks. Okay, so means there is something fault in the system. Okay, that's very clear. Fine, but how can they practice? How can they start questioning? Actually, one problem is there, Rohit. Actually, students are have no knowledge how to start questioning. Very students are there
Okay.
who have starting problem. Okay,
Hmm.
so that can be a very good idea. Ki actually, yes, if we can provide them a kind of template. Okay, ki suppose you are reading Ohm's law. Fine. So
Hmm.
how can you start questioning from Ohm's law? First start from very base level. Okay, ki what is Ohm's law? What is the
Hmm.
definition of Ohm's law? Who has invented or discovered Ohm's law? Fine. And why we call Ohm's law as V equal to IR? Fine. Why voltage is depending upon current, yeah, resistance, everything
Hmm.
else. So if we can start questioning in this way, maybe
Hmm.
students can be triggered by yes, habit of questioning. Fine. Okay. So this is one way of looking. Fine.
Hmm.
But the thing is that there is a problem of practicing the habit. Okay, we
Hmm.
can suggest the student, yes, ask in this way, do in this way, so many things can be happen. But students actually, whenever until they know the importance, until they know the purpose of questioning, they simply don't ask anything. So how can we inspire them? How can we make them feel happier about asking questions?
How, once again, I'm thinking out loud. Okay, the teacher can do so much in the classroom, like what is this, what is Ohm's law, what is so and so. Can we also nudge parents into developing that habit at home,
Okay.
where the thing is not about academics anymore?
Hmm.
It is about living happily at home. And I think everybody looks forward to living happily at home.
Exactly.
So, could we nudge parents to engage the child in this questioning to build happiness at home?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that I think once this child sees that, this habit, this behavior of questioning and finding out answers is helping them live happily, I think it would get wired in the brain that, yes, I want to practice this elsewhere too.
Exactly.
So I think,
Exactly. That's the nice take to it. Okay. Because instead of looking for practicing the habit from classroom perspective, okay, if we can just shift our idea to practice the question at our home, okay, anything
yes,
that is related to our playing, that is related to anything, dishes, food, okay, anything
yeah,
about anything, fine. Because
anything.
students are curious about others apart from
Yes.
academics. Okay, you see, because they ask various questions about IPL, about games, about so many things are there. Fine. So that's the very good suggestion actually. They should start from parent. They should start from their home, so that ultimately they can look for starting the question in their academic part. That's the great tip.
It becomes like an unconscious practice where, they're learning it at home and they find themselves, like doing that even in the classroom and everywhere else.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
I think that, I was taking this course for learning how to learn. In that, the professor said, I think education has to make people hikers, not race car drivers. So you travel in a race car along the roads and you don't observe anything around. You're too quick. But when you're a hiker, you go slowly. You're like, what is this? Why is this insect behaving this way? Why is this this? Why is this that? So I
Exactly.
think the goal is to live like a hiker, not a race car driver,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everywhere.
Nice, nice. So, Rohit, do you think actually that point that you are now taking, actually we need to become an hiker, not a race taker? Fine. So, how do you feel? Means up to which level is it possible to implement in our academic system? Academic is the background. Fine. Okay. So, how do you think about that?
I'm not quite sure what the meaning, like what to what level it is. Like, could you clarify it
Up
for me?
to means I am particularly asking means suppose in any academic pattern, fine, they have the pressure, they have the race to complete the syllabus, they have the race
Hmm.
to score higher than their friends. Okay, so how can we just eradicate that kind of mindset and trying to become them a kind of a hiker?
I think one question that we can raise is, can we take a collective feedback from the teachers talking about their classroom experience where they think that the syllabus is way too much for that particular year?
Yeah,
Can we divide the syllabus in a way that people can explore at the same time complete, where completion is secondary,
exact.
reflection and exploration is primary? Like many teachers say that, we have lots of things to do, and if I open up a textbook, there is usually a lot of things.
Yeah.
So can the education system take a feedback, a collective feedback? Can they listen to their teachers who
Hmm.
suggest maybe it's too much?
Hmm. Exactly. Rohit, one thing actually I have reminding now, okay, from a researcher has suggested that you are telling me. कि actually if we can ignite the question of higher level degree, fine, higher degree, then definitely the lower degree questions can be covered just by a byproduct. Okay, that you have
Okay.
said now. If we can be thoughtful, okay, एग्जाम में क्या आ रहा है बेसिकली, एग्जाम में बेसिकली फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं. So what is this,
Hmm.
why is this, fine, that is coming to from our textbook. Okay, if we can
Hmm.
explore the higher degrees, okay, and the research proved that if a student can explore themselves with higher degree questions, then the lower degree questions can be easily solved. Okay,
Okay.
so definitely maybe this can be a path. Okay, if we can try to improve the higher degree questions, definitely the lower degree
Hmm.
questions can be covered. Okay,
Hmm.
so that may be the
So I think if we take Bloom's taxonomy, the lowest degree is what do I remember? What do I
hmm,
recall? That's the
exactly.
lowest degree, I think, questioning. So, what if we can start with the same example where one student was asked for his or her view,
Hmm.
and then other student was asked for his or her view,
Yeah.
and the first student was asked to relate the views. So
Hmm.
that is like the whole level of Bloom's taxonomy, which analysis,
This is a
analyze.
hybrid model of Bloom's taxonomy as well as Socratic questioning. Okay, fine. If we can make them both, okay, कि actually
Yeah.
Bloom's taxonomy में भी upgrade होना चाहिए and Socratic
Hmm.
questioning में भी deeper and deeper gradation होना चाहिए. Fine. Okay. So in Socratic questioning actually there are elements, cognitive elements, there are cognitive standards.
Hmm.
Fine. So 8 elements are there, 10 standards are there. If we can implement all the standards into one element, then that can be amazing.
Hmm.
Fine. So the hybrid model can be really amazing for a student if a teacher can implement perfectly. Fine.
Hmm.
Great.
So
So last
that's quite
but not
interesting.
least, okay. So the idea is that to make a habit of asking questions. Okay, this is very clear. So one thing that you should suggest to our student, okay, how to start practicing the one point that I am remember that to practice from home. That's the really nice idea.
Hmm.
Okay, but if
Hmm.
we can look for academic part, okay, that's the long
Okay.
run. This will help from long run. Okay, कि फैमिली में क्वेश्चनिंग आस्किंग का एबिलिटी बनाना चाहिए. That's the benefit of long run. So if we can look for very particularly academically, how can they develop the habit? Fine.
Hmm.
Because एग्जाम के पहले ही वो प्रैक्टिस करते हैं क्वेश्चन. That's the very fact. Okay. So how can they practice questions, habit of asking questions from the beginning? And as a teacher,
That's
actually, what you are doing?
sorry.
As a teacher, actually, what you are doing?
Okay. Hmm. I think if I am a teacher, if I am a teacher, I would not pressurize them for exams. That's the first thing that I would. I think I would focus more on the present, more on what we are learning, why we are learning. Okay, than just exams. I don't want students to feel pressurized that they have to do well in exams. But I want to encourage and nudge them to grow as a human. All right. So one thing that I would definitely practice is, like infecting them with curiosity and actually dialoguing with them. Instead of it being like a one-way exchange, like what I say, you listen. Like I'm saying something, okay, you can counter me. You can ask me, sir, I need another clarification. This is not, they should be, I should make it comfortable for them to say that, I don't think this makes sense to me, sir.
Mm. Mm.
How do you explain it in a different way?
Yeah.
Or I could do the same. Like, okay, that's one view. How could you build on that view, taking the view of others?
Mm.
So I think it's more dialoguing than a one-way exchange.
Getting. Yeah. Yeah. So there are so many things, Rohit. Okay, we means if we can continue the discussion, definitely this is an open-ended discussion. Okay, so
Yes.
we have to stop. We have to means pause our
Yeah.
discussion. Okay. So Rohit, basically we will discuss so many things in our latter parts. Okay, we will definitely conduct other batches. Okay, so for today, that's enough. Okay, So we need to stop
Thank you
our
so much.
discussion.
I'm
And,
like,
and this is
uh,
really amazing take from your side. Okay, three things I have remembered for our students, but I need to students take their note. Okay, what are the three things? First of all, syllabus should not be completed, should not look for completed. It is should be reflected. Okay.
reflection.
Second, key having building the habit should start from the parents, should start from the students. Means a kind of home environment.
Yeah.
Are things actually they need to make a kind of to being a human. Okay, that you have said currently. To being a human is very important. Means
Yeah.
apart from question. That's really great, Rohit. Okay, nice to talk with you.
I'm like so glad that we have this conversation because like I've gained insights and it has been very reflective for me. This
Nice.
conversation has been very reflective for me.
Okay.
So there are definitely some things to take away, and I think your mention of Bloom's taxonomy has made me even more curious about it. How you wanted to blend Socratic dialoguing with Bloom's taxonomy is something that I'm looking forward to now. So I think you've planted that curiosity
That,
about
that
that for
will
me.
be that will be implemented means if we can make a hybrid model, fine. Bloom's
Okay.
taxonomy is there, Socratic questioning is there.
Yeah.
If we can make a hybrid model between these two, okay, that can be more powerful than the individual. Fine. Because Bloom's taxonomy is a kind of vertical thinking level. Fine. Socratic questioning is also a vertical level, but this actually means क्या करते हैं means जो spread करता है thinking को. Fine. Because there are 8 elements, 10 standards.
Hmm.
Okay. If we can implement 10 standards to one element, another element, so there is 80 ways of thinking. Okay.
Okay.
That 80 ways, and if you implement that is Bloom's taxonomy, then this is 18 to 5,
Whoa.
400 ways of thinking. Okay, so from one context you will have 400 ways of thinking. So that will be amazing, super creative. Okay.
That is so diverse, and since you talked about so many different ways of thinking, that actually reminds me of something, a concept called mental agility, where
It is a
you think.
Paul's model of thinking.
Okay.
Okay, Socratic questioning.
Okay.
So if we can Bloom's taxonomy as well as Paul's model, so both can be means rewarding, actually rewarding. Means you will have a very kind of deeper and deeper level of thinking. Okay, actually, what is that? What is this? What is the purpose? What is the accuracy? What is the breadth? What is the depth? Fine, so many things are there.
Hmm.
Fine.
That's
So
quite
nice.
interesting. And yeah, it was really, really, really great talking to you.
Yeah, definitely. We will discuss much more about the things. And from the next conversation, we will define this is a very kind of introductory meeting. Okay. We will
Okay.
just from our next meeting, we will particularly select a topic. We will discuss
Okay.
more about that. Okay. So
Got
definitely
it.
I love the thinkers, I love the philosophy side of mind. Okay. So many things are there. We will definitely discuss so many things. Okay. On the latter side.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I take these opportunities as like a steps forward in either deepening my understanding or broadening my understanding.
Hmm.
So
Actually, one thing, Rohit, I want to add here. Okay, since you are
yeah.
so much of fascinated with the thinking mindset. Okay, two type of mindset is needed. Okay, one is critical, vertical mindset. One is lateral.
Hmm.
Two types
Okay.
of integration should be fine. Critical and creative. Okay, so if we can develop our critical, I call that is critical. Fine, critical
Create.
because creative.
Okay.
Critical mindset. If we can build critical
Hmm.
mindset, then definitely our vertical thinking grows, our lateral thinking grows. Okay, and that is rewarding. Fine. If we can
So if I get it right, sorry, please.
means that is kind of rewarding. Fine in our thinking. Holistic thinking we may call.
That's a really intriguing term, critical thinking. So critical thinking has to do with the depth of learning.
Vertical.
vertical. And creative thinking has to deal with the
something
lateral.
new, something new, out of box. Fine. Okay.
Interesting.
That is means actually in creative in vertical thinking. Okay. The end situation is the conclusion. Okay. But in
Okay.
creative thinking, the beginning is the conclusion. Conclusion is the beginning. Okay. Means
That's quite interesting.
means the itself conclusion make you one kind of what we can surprise. Okay, conclusion makes you surprise. Okay, suppose you are starting from a any kind of designing in a blank sheet. Okay, means what is I approaching? I just open a blank sheet, start designing, start thinking something that is the conclusion make that inspires me, that amazes me. What kind of things actually I have means I have not imagined earlier, but concluded in a different era, different kind of places. Okay.
So if I get it, like let's say that we have a conclusion. Okay, so this is what it is, and then like, what else can this be?
Exactly.
What can
is the
this turn
alternative?
into?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's
that is the beginning of creativity. Okay.
That's quite interesting. I think there's one thing that I would like to add. Like, there's a principle in creativity called form follows function.
Yes.
Where you have an initial product, and then you see how you can make the product better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you have a conclusion, and then you come up with alternatives.
Something betterness actually kya hota na, means MVP is there. We need to better this. Okay. So this is quite critical, quite creative. Okay, it is not bound कि ये creative होना चाहिए. Fine. Suppose you have made one level. If you want to grow next level, तो ये तो vertical thinking हुआ. Fine. ये तो vertical thinking है.
Right.
Creative thinking is 0 to 1 idea. This is not 1 to n idea. Fine. 0 to 1 idea is the creative zone. 1 to n is the critical zone. Fine. And both are important. Both have their own flavor. Fine. So they need to take. Okay.
I'm really looking forward to this. Like critical thinking. So I'll
today's leader need to not a thought leader. Thought leader means क्या है तो both critical भी, creative भी. Fine.
It's
so
not
today's leader need to critical thinker. Okay. They don't need to think deeper and deeper. हम जो बोलते हैं ना कि डीप थॉट लीडर चाहिए, डीप थॉट लीडर नहीं है, ये वन साइडेड है. फाइन. डीप थॉट लीडर भी चाहिए एंड डाइवर्सिफाइड लीडर भी चाहिए. फाइन. सो क्रिएटिकल लीडर इज इंपॉर्टेंट. फाइन. सो you have to the ability of think deeper, you have to the ability of think wider. Fine.
Wider. That's a very interesting idea to take away from this conversation.
Thank you.
That's
this is rectangle, Rohit. Okay. Length and breadth. Okay. Breadth is your critical thinking. Length is your you cannot do anything with only length or with only breadth. If both can be added, this is make a rectangle, this is can a box, this is your reward box. Okay. For calculating area, you need to length and breadth both. Okay.
Right.
Otherwise,
so if you're just doing length, you're restricted along one line. But if you're doing length and breadth, you have an entire area.
Two-dimensional.
That's interesting. That's a good way of looking at it.
Thank you. Okay. So definitely, Rohit. Okay, we will meet soon again.
Yeah.
Okay, in another episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.